Live Collegiate to learn more. Now remember.
All right, just so everybody's aware, this is being recorded.
You're not on my laptop.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm going to give maybe one more minute of wait time for everybody to get in. I just launched a poll just for fun.
Morning, 19 crew. We are doing now. Please thank you for joining us. The Zoom was set, the Zoom link was remember, click on and then for your
All right, can everybody see the poll? All right, good. It's a little something to start our morning off with, a little smile. All right, so I will go ahead and get started. Good morning again to those I have not said good morning to. I am Ms. Harris. I hope you know that by now, but for those who may have forgotten, I'm Ms. Harris, one of the school counselors, and
I'm Carla Cataba. I'm Miss Cat or Miss Cataba, whatever you feel like you can pronounce, the K2 counselor.
All right. So welcome to our, what we're calling an empowerment session, because hopefully that is how we all feel by the end of this. All right, all right, so today we are starting our work on what we're going to call HeartWorks. And what we're going to start off learning today is about composure and perception. And these are skills mainly taken from conscious discipline that we are going to learn for ourselves just to empower our own sense of self-control and support the way we discipline our students. Discipline meaning teach behavior and social skills. All right.
So as we move into the learning target and the time we're spending together, I'll ask you to just take a deep breath and bring our minds into this moment. be able to get started and allow ourselves to be here instead of maybe what we think we should be doing right now. This is where you're supposed to be, and this is what we're doing together. So by the end of today, we hope that you learn how to take back your power, actively calm yourself, in order to model and create a safe environment for our scholars, where even the most difficult scholars can learn their own self-control as modeled by you.
Okay. So as I said, we are teaching from conscious discipline, but also including elements of other social emotional programs and other discipline frameworks. And those would include Ruler. If you've heard of that, it's a social emotional program from the Yale Institute of Learning, zones of regulation, and even pieces of restorative practices you'll see look familiar in the model that we are representing today. So conscious discipline and the pieces that we have together in HeartWorks is a community and relationship model of discipline. And so basically what that means is, if you notice there's a difference, compliance is the traditional way that many of us have learned to, or even grew up ourselves being disciplined with, and that is with the goal being obedience. And foundation is based on rules. Skills are consequences. If I can just find the right consequence, the student will behave. And the philosophy of rejection, meaning that when you don't do what I'm saying do, I put you to the side. I kick you out of the classroom. You are not part or accepted in this group. But instead of that, we want to look at this community model and this relationship model, where our goal is to teach students to be problem solvers. And so the difference in that is, when students are problem solvers, they can generalize the skills that they are being taught. So when you're teaching them how to behave, they can transfer that in other situations. So a lot of times what we see with students is they may act properly at home with their parents because their parents may have taught them to be obedient, but when they come to school, it's a different story because they haven't learned to transfer those skills. So that's why we want to teach them how to be problem solvers. And it's a community, the foundation is in community, learning, working together, and seeing ourselves as a family. And skills come from communication. Communication is what teaches the responsibility and these traits that we want our students to have. And it's a philosophy of acceptance. When we make mistakes, we see them as mistakes. We don't oust people, but we instead accept them and help them and support them. Okay. So our first skill is called composure. And in our work together this year, we're going to be working from the bottom of the brain. If you see here in red, that is our brain stem. The brain stem is where we have our automatic responses, breathing, things you don't have to think about, and even responses in trauma where you might yell, scream, cry, run, fight or flight, those sorts of things. They all come from the brain stem. So when a person is thinking from their brain stem, and that's their state of being at the time, they are unable to learn. They're unable to take in any information. Most of the time, they're unable to really even process what anybody is saying to them. It's a very stressful. Ms. Cadwell, if you don't mind doing the admitting people. It's a stressful part of the brainstem. And so that's why we learn this skill of composure, which takes us from this upset part of the brain to a calm state. And that calm state is called composure. Composure is the willingness to change from your internal state of upset and to bring your mind to the present moment. So when you are in your state of composure, your brain is at its best, and you can engage all of those senses for problem solving. So we're going to watch a video really quickly about composure and how composure works and how anger and upset actually comes from within. So a lot of us are raised to believe that things on the outside are what make us angry. So whether that be, a trigger that happened during the day, traffic, a spouse, or someone that really upset us, we believe that that person made us angry. So this video talks about how when we believe that, we're giving our power away. So if you will, let us watch the conscious discipline expert herself, Becky Bailey, as she explains the inside job.
I
After
absolutely
this
love
commercial.
teaching. I just wish I had more time to prepare fun lessons, especially for science. That's why I use
change. And that's what composure
Can everybody hear that okay?
Composure is changing our internal state from upset to calm. And that's as simple as it is. But to do this, to change our internal state from upset to calm, we've got to, 1, think it's possible, 2, believe it's necessary, and 3, know how to do it. Now, most of us have been raised to believe that outside stuff is driving us nuts. Outside stuff is making us angry. Whether that's whiny children, back-talking, traffic, ex-husbands. See, we think ex-wives, all that out there is what's making us mad. So here's the problem with that. If we think that the outside events are making us mad, then we're going to give our power away to all those outside events. And this brings us to the first power of conscious discipline. Conscious discipline has 7 powers and 7 skills. The skill is composure, but the power that it comes from is the power of perception. Now, what the power of perception really says is how I perceive something dictates my emotional state, which then dictates my behavior. Now, in conscious discipline terms, I made it pretty simple, and here's how I state the power of perception. No one can make me angry without my permission. Let's say that together. No one can make me angry without my permission. One more time. No one can make me angry without my permission. Now, that sounds good on paper, don't you think? Huh? That's real good on paper, but we always have these itty-bitty exceptions, and I've already mentioned a few of those, except this or except that. So what we're going to do in this session is learn about composure and learn about taking back our power. Now, here's the problem with giving our power away. What happens then is when we give our power away and we believe that outside events are making us sad, angry, happy, upset, irritated, is that whomever we believe to be in charge of our feelings, we've placed in charge of us. Whomever or whatever. I was in Chicago, it was months and months ago, but I'm on an elevator with this woman. This woman gets on this elevator, and here's what she does. She gets on the elevator, and she's just like, just huffing and puffing. I mean, we're on like the 32nd floor. And every time the door stops, it opens, somebody else gets on, she's like, she's just going on and on and on. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, you're giving your power away to an elevator? And the more the door opened and shut, the more frustrated she got. And I'm thinking, this is what elevators do. That's her job. And she had just given all her power away to the elevator. And I believe didn't consciously, but unconsciously, she truly believed that she huffed and puffed enough, we'd go to the lobby quicker. Now, and how many of us have that same kind of mindset? If I just huff and puff enough, life's going to go my way. But what happens is whomever we've given our power away or whatever, whomever we believe to be in charge of our feelings, we've put in charge of ourselves. So right now, what I'd like for you to do is just take a moment and think, right now, who or what do you believe is making you mad or angry or irritated? Also, I want you to think about this. Who or what do you think is making you happy? because it's the same thing. If you think someone's making you happy, they're still in charge of you. Whoever you've placed in charge of your feelings, you have placed in charge of you. And now we use this little vest as a demonstration. So let me get this thing on. How many of you have thought, that child's pushing my buttons? Huh? You ever had that? See, here's what happens. When we give our power away, here's how we're walking around life. Anybody at any time can flip our little switches and make us mad, right? It could be traffic, boom, boom. It could be our children. It could be the classroom. It could be walking down the hall. Now, if we walk around with our vest like this, so to speak, or when we walk around giving our power away, here's what we must do. And see if this makes sense to you. We then have to control the entire world to manage our own emotions. Right? I'm going to have to spend my whole energy making sure the world goes my way so that I can keep a calm, peaceful, happy internal state.
All right.
Grammarly can help you write quickly.
Okay. So I would love to hear what you all think about that. Do you believe what she's saying? When you allow external things to push your buttons and control your emotions, you're giving your power away. Y'all can say so out loud or in the chat box.
I do believe that. We just came back from a meeting yesterday and was talking about how we have so much stress in our lives, outside lives, whether we're tired, overwhelmed, frustrated, and then we come in and we have to deal with all those other things, and it just keeps compiling and compiling. So it's very true.
Okay. I found that to be absolutely true. And like she said at the end, if you believe that external things are what control your emotions, then you would have to control the whole world in order for you to be able to maintain a calm state of mind. And that isn't possible. So we have to learn how to control our own selves and our own upsets and manage our own stress even, despite what's going on the outside world around us. And that's a skill that we're helping build today that hopefully transfers to our students, because once we learn, we teach others. That is a very important skill that we should have. And it goes into the power of perception. It's how you perceive something, how you see a situation, which determines your emotional state. And that emotional state then determines your behavior. So as she said, and I feel like this is deep, and if we can commit to understanding and believing this, we will grow a lot. That nobody can make you angry without your permission. Whoever's in charge of your feelings is in charge of you. So not just angry, but upset in any sort of way, or even happy. You have the control over your own feelings. So let's go into a couple of commitments and goals that we have. It says, I acknowledge when I feel upset, and it's because the world is not going my way. I'm willing to spend some time working on my own upset. I no longer want to give my power away to others and then blame them for taking it. I want more control in my life. Hopefully, that's each of us. The second one says, I understand people or situations do not make me angry, but trigger my anger. These trigger buttons stem from my own worries and wounds from the past. By choosing to breathe deeply and calm myself, I'm able to heal old wounds and be proactive with children. I'm ready to own my own upset. So I always think about who or what's in charge of you. Who are you allowing to control how you think or how you feel? Recognize that you won't be able to control all parts of the world. You're only going to stress yourself out that way. So appreciate the skill of composure and just being able to calm your own upset. Composure is a choice that you make regardless of how crazy the world on the outside appears to be. Which brings us to perception.
So a big thing that stuck out to me in the conscious discipline structure is the idea of changing trigger thoughts to calming thoughts. So what a trigger thought might sound like is, you never sit down. The scholar never sits down. They cannot sit still, or they are doing this just to defy me. It's the way that we kind of perceive the misbehavior of the scholars in the area, in our room, or even the teachers surrounding us. And the hope is that we can change these trigger thoughts to calming thoughts. And the ways that we can do this are two ways, either through positive self-talk, such as saying, I am safe, I am calm, I can handle this. So very like self-centered in that just putting you into a better place to handle the misbehavior you're seeing, or to perceive differently, to try to take a step back and see maybe the root of the misbehavior or what they're trying to accomplish with it. So an example of that is the scholar is dealing with a lot of frustration, or this is not about me. So that this allows us to be able to stay calm and recognize that the current problem belongs to the scholar and it is not because of us, or it is not, it just gets us to be able to handle this in a better, more composed way. So we are going to do an activity where we're going to have a chance to change some of these trigger thoughts that we might see or perceive and change them into calming thoughts. So I'm going to put a Google Doc in the chat, and we are going to go into breakout rooms. So once you see the Google Doc, I want you to be able to open it and make a copy of it. And in your breakout room, you're going to work to change these trigger thoughts into calming thoughts, whether through positive self-talk or perceiving it differently. And the way we're going to share it at the end is that group one is going to share number one. They're going to share their trigger thought and what they turned it into. Group two is going to do number 2, 3, and so on. So we
Can I make a quick announcement? I did forget to say that we're going to do attendance at the very end. We have a link that we will share at the end since it was asked. That's all.
Okay, so let's see how these breakout rooms go. All right, about to open the rooms. We'll call you back in about 5 minutes. Okay, it doesn't put us in breakout rooms, but
Yeah,
I think
good.
that's okay.
Yeah, I'm great with that. How long do we have for the breakout rooms again?
We have 3 minutes and 50 seconds left.
Okay.
But it does give like a 1-minute warning
Okay.
when we close the room. So I can close it when there's still 1 minute left.
My computer keeps jumping to various slides when I have not.
Yeah, like it goes
told it
backwards
to
and
do that.
forwards.
Yeah.
Weird. I need to turn my lights back on.
That was me that time.
Oh, it's funny. did the breakout rooms randomly just to see what Zoom would do. And Miss Bryant and Miss Artis are in the same group. Whoops, that's okay. Okay, there's 45 seconds left, so I'll close the rooms and it'll take at least a minute for I think all of them to come back.
Welcome back.
Here they come. Hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. I know that wasn't enough time to do all 11, but this was just a chance to be able to kind of practice that. So we're going to share out the calming thoughts that you created. So group number 1, your trigger thought was, they are just doing this to annoy me. What was your calming thought from that? Someone who is in group number 1, go ahead and just unmute and tell us.
Yeah. I don't have the paper in front of me, but I think we said that we're just not going to let them take our energy, and we're just going to always be positive.
Okay, awesome.
I was the typer, so I was trying to remember what we said with all of them.
Okay, that's all right. So we'll try to remember. If you can remember your group, that's helpful, but if not, then that's okay. But group 2, their trigger thought was, they are deliberately trying to defy me. Group 2, if you can recall, what was your calming thought?
Okay, we said, this is not about me. They may be exhibiting behaviors that are common or normal for their home environment. So we said that it's not something that we should necessarily take personally, but look to find ways where we can show them a different way, a better way.
I love that. You can kind of see the context that they come from and pull from there. That's great. So group number 3, your trigger thought was, they are trying to drive me crazy. What was your calming thought you created from that?
We had said that we are doing the very best we can right now, and so are they. That we need to take deep breaths and tell yourself that I'm in control of my own emotions.
Yes, awesome. Very reflective of heart work and what we were just talking about. Awesome.
Good job, Miss Bedia.
Then group number 4, your trigger thought was, they are tuning me out intentionally. What was your calming thought from that?
We said that they could be distracted by something personally or just something that's going on with them. And we would try our best to engage or entice them to draw them into the lesson by saying a key word like, let's see what such and such is drawn, but just try to something to get their attention to bring them back into the lesson.
Yeah, I love that. That's really practical for in the moment. That's great. Okay, group number 5, your trigger thought was, they're misbehaving to get back at me and spite me. What did you turn that into?
We said that, this is not about me, just stay calm and ask the child to calm down.
Awesome, great. Okay, group number 6, I can't stand this for 1 minute longer. What did you turn that into?
We just said that we would say, let's all take a break together and take a break.
Yeah, yeah, so making it global and not just sticking out for that one particular scholar. Great. I believe we're on number 7. How dare they speak to me like that? Group 7, what did you change that into?
We talked about the fact that obviously talking like that may have gotten them what they wanted before. So we would just explain to them that if they need something, they need to ask for it, and train them to model for them how to ask for it in an appropriate way.
That is awesome. I didn't even think about that side of it. That's really cool. So I see that we are kind of running low on time, so I appreciate your work. I'm not going to have the rest of the groups share out, but thank you for participating in that. And Ms. Harris, we can move to the next slide, because another one of the goals to keep in mind is if we keep the trigger thoughts as trigger thoughts, we might very easily fall into the instinct of just wanting to punish that behavior. And so a commitment that I hope we can all take from this is I understand that punishment, getting children to feel bad and blame are not solutions, but part of the problem. And that when you change them into calming thoughts, that I am now ready to let go of the instinct to punish, get revenge, and blame others for how I feel inside. So thank you for all participating in that with us.
Deep commitments. Okay, so one part of composure is changing those trigger thoughts into calming thoughts so that our perception is different. But it's also about creating an environment of composure. And there are certain ways that we do that. We do that with rituals and routines, stress reducers, and connections, and even having safe places for our students. So what that looks like, it's important that we start every day making sure students feel safe. And yes, we have to start over with some of these students each and every day, because we don't know what it is they're going home to. Every day is a new day. And so we have to help them de-stress in several different ways. Caring schools is one of those ways, and it is super important that we're all doing that. I have seen a lot of us doing like the greeting parts of caring schools, but those lessons in caring schools are designed to de-stress and allow them to connect with each other. And that connection is where they start to feel love from one another. And that is very important as part of their beginning of day to help them de-stress. A lot of times we feel like we don't have time for some of the activities in the morning, but it's always a good investment to start off giving them that time in the morning rather than reacting to something that will happen later that afternoon. that is as far as I'm going to get into that because we are running out of time.
And then there are some breathing exercises that can kind of keep you in the calm. We'll just go over that first one. It's that STAR on the left. It's an acronym called STAR, S-T-A-R. It is smile, take a deep breath, and relax. This is just a super practical way to remember to calm down, take a moment, and get your composure back. So let's try it real fast. That you smile, take a deep breath, and relax. And then there's 3 others that are in the slideshow that's in the counseling folder if you want to look more into. And that's something that we will be teaching the students as well in our counseling lessons.
Yeah, we want to make this like our go-to phrase, like smile, take a deep breath, and relax. So it's just about being a star. And as simple as it sounds, those activities really do help a person, if they're doing it right, regain their composure. It's about the thinking part, but actually the physical breathing as well. Okay.
And then the connection to our counselor lessons, we are basing this and teaching you all with this heart work content. And then we are also transmitting it into the classroom directly to the scholars with helping them be able to understand their emotions. And you see that mood meter right there. It's kind of hard to see the words, but it categorizes feelings into 4 different sectors, which then translates into zones of regulation. So that green one on the bottom is the optimal place of learning. And then we explain where they may drift into which zones when they're feeling certain ways, and then how to regulate those with those 4 exercises that we showed you in the previous slide.
All right. So here are our commitments again. I will not read them out to you, but I hope that from today, we just are able to commit to these things and being able to see things differently from students and therefore feel differently and therefore behave in a way that our discipline isn't punitive, but it's teaching them new skills. Do we have any questions? All right, so we have an attendance link for you all, but it also includes a little bit of feedback. If you could give us that, we'll give you a moment to do that. And we have a few people who asked to give announcements. So, Ms. Irving, I think you had an announcement. Thanks for the comments, y'all.
I was just going to ask you to come pick up your testing kits, please.
Okay.
Ms. Harris, I have something.
Okay.
We're still doing today is our last day of BOG 3 testing. I will not make a formal announcement over the loudspeaker, but you could please be mindful of the GPOD area as far as the noise level. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Williams, did you have anything?
Yeah. First of all, good morning again. It's so great to see everybody's face. Remember, team, that our virtual etiquette is that we will have our cameras on, and if there is something that's going on that is preventing you from doing so, please make sure you reach out to an administrator. Tomorrow is an optional work day. You need to complete an RFA, which means request for absence form. It's a blue form. If you have an optional certificate, you may redeem that tomorrow because again, it's an optional work day. Our area superintendent sent an email on yesterday that we cannot work from home tomorrow. It's something that if you're working, you have to be on campus. So please keep that in mind as well. And then I want to revisit something quickly with you, the importance of making sure all individuals in your room are at least 6 feet apart when eating lunch. Everybody needs to be at least 6 feet apart. If you are struggling with that, what I'm going to ask you to do is to take some time, connect with Ms. Dawkins Major for a visual. We also are purchasing some string or rope, if you will, and it's going to be cut 6 feet apart, and it will be in your mailbox this afternoon, teachers, to try and support you as you go through the room and make sure that each child is sitting at least 6 feet apart. And I do admonish you to connect with Ms. Dawkins Major for a visual because it is possible. She has 22 scholars plus herself, and she was able to space everyone out in her room. those are my two announcements. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful day. And Ms. Catawba and Ms. Harris, I enjoyed the presentation very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll just encourage everybody to look for teachable moments when you see a student who is in their lower stem of their brain and they're having a stressful and hard time. Remember your perception and the way you think about that student. It may be that they're dealing with something. Use the skills that we learned today and be patient with yourself. It's kind of like the game of golf. You don't get to be an expert by watching videos or hearing somebody talk about it. It's through practice. So practice. All right. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful Wednesday.